Revealed. My father's $950K gift to my sister versus my crumbling house led to an amazing discovery. The sun broke through the misty morning light, casting faint rays over the rusted rooftops of the small Midwest town. James sighed as he ran a calloused hand over the peeling paint of his home, the weight of its decay pressing down on him like a ton of bricks. At 38, the local mechanic was no stranger to hard work. He spent long hours with his hands under car hoods, finding a way to provide for his 2 kids. But today the ache in his chest felt heavier. Just last week, his father had dropped a financial bombshell. $950,000 to his sister Emily, for her new bait shop by the river. The news buzzed through town, like the hum of summer cicadas, a constant reminder of his own inadequacies. Growing up, Emily had always been the golden child, gliding effortlessly into opportunities while James felt stuck. Each gossiping neighbor paled the crumbling walls of his house in comparison to the potential gleam of his sister's new venture. Nerves jangled in him as he imagined her leaving the family home, their childhood anchored there in every floorboard and faded corner. He felt as if his entire world tipped precariously, teetering on the edge of something tragic. Dinner that night was nothing short of a storm. Tension crackled in the air as he confronted Emily across the table. Voices spiked, rising and clashing, revealing buried feelings. "Don't you see? You're leaving us behind," he shouted, his hands clenched tight, trembling with rage and shame. Emily's face tightened. Her calm masked the storm beneath. "This isn't about you, James. It's about realizing my dreams." Their father sat frozen, an innocent bystander, unsure of how to steer the chaos that enveloped their family. As James's frustrations bubbled to the surface, he saw the painful look in Emily's eyes, a mix of confusion and hurt. Their father had meant well, but the pressure was suffocating. Just when it felt like the room collapsed in on itself, unthinkable news struck like a lightning bolt. Their son had an accident. In a flash, the dinner table was transformed. Neighbors flooded in with casseroles, hugs, and love, reminding James of what truly mattered. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. For the first time in weeks, James felt his heart swell with gratitude at the connections forged through their small community. The crumbling house that had seemed so heavy transformed into a sanctuary filled with love, each creaking floor echoing laughter of family dinners, each chipped wall hiding memories of his children's first steps. It was when he stood there, wrapped in the warmth of that realization, that he thought perhaps he could share his own dreams with Emily. When he faced her again, he felt empowered, raw. "Real opportunity comes from love," he said softly. He saw something flicker in her eyes. But before they could bridge the gap, the unspoken feelings lay heavy between them, an unshakable tension lingering like excess moisture in the air. Would his willingness to be vulnerable allow them to rebuild their broken bond? Or would it shatter the family ties that bound them? The days that followed were a blur. James felt the weight of the world shift slightly, but he still teetered. Each morning he woke hoping to find clarity, but confusion hugged him tight like a shroud. The accident cast a long shadow, putting every family squabble in perspective. And yet, in the quiet moments, he could still hear the echo of that dinner. Emily's dream, after all, drifted in and out like the steam from a warm pot. He spent his mornings working on cars, the mechanical world soothing his frayed nerves. The shop was a bastion amidst chaos, the rhythm of wrenches and engines grounding him. Yet, even there, he could feel the currents of resentment threatening to bubble over. Gossiping customers whispered soft judgments, and he couldn't shake the feeling they'd heard about his father's gift, the perceived favoritism that came with it. One afternoon, as he wiped sweat from his forehead, an elderly client named Mrs. Thompson ambled into the shop, silver hair flashing under the fluorescent lights. She leaned against the counter, her eyes twinkling with a mischievous spark. "You know, James, not everyone needs a fancy bait shop to be successful. Sometimes it's about finding what you love in the mess." Her words hung in the air. He offered her a weak smile, but the truth struck deeper. Success meant different things to different people. Maybe he didn't need to be Emily to find his path. That night, after the kids were nestled away in bed, James found himself unable to sleep. The house, once a sanctuary, now reverberated with uncertainty. He made his way to the kitchen, grabbing a soda and leaning against the counter. A small notebook lay hidden beneath the pile of magazines. Flipping it open, he found sketches. Plans for a workshop, different but connected to his mechanic work, designed not just for cars, but a place where kids from the neighborhood could learn. An idea had sparked. What if he turned the garage into a community space, teaching kids just like him the skills that mattered? It wasn't about competition or dreams of grandeur. It was about connection. Excited, he reached for his phone and scrolled until he found Emily's name. The screen lit up. Dialing felt monumental. Would she understand? The line rang and his heart raced. When she finally picked up, her voice was laced with surprise. "James? Hey," he hesitated. "I think we need to talk." The tension tightened. It almost crackled. For a moment, he pondered all the avenues that might lead to conflict again. "Can we meet tomorrow?" "Sure," she said, her voice trailing off. "I'll be at the shop around noon." As the call ended, a wave of determination washed over James. This wasn't just about him and Emily anymore. This was about the community, about family. He suddenly felt lighter, ready to take steps toward healing. However, as dawn broke, anticipation twisted his stomach into knots. Were they ready to share their dreams? Would Emily see more than just a chance to win? Pulling onto Main Street, doubt nagged at him. But as he parked in front of the bait shop, a flicker of hope ignited. Could their conversation shift the entire dynamic? His eyes landed on the shop's vibrant signage, and he breathed deeply. But just as he stepped out of his truck, a memory snaked back into his mind, hauntingly familiar, the moment of the accident, their son's accident. His heart raced as thoughts spiraled. Could the family bond withstand another blow as they got closer to the truth about what had really happened? With that weight heavy on his shoulders, he walked towards the bait shop, steeling himself for the conversation that could change everything. Would this day mend bridges or shatter them once and for all? As James stepped through the door of the bait shop, the familiar scent of old wood and bait mingled in the air. It felt like walking into a time capsule, filled with memories of laughter and shared dreams. Emily stood behind the counter, her brows knitted together as she looked up. The joy that once brightened her eyes seemed flickered, replaced by something harder. "Hey," she said, a hint of uncertainty in her voice. "Hey," he replied, surprised at how gentle the word sounded, even in this charged atmosphere. He cleared his throat, thoughts scrambling. "Thanks for meeting me." Emily shrugged slightly, avoiding his gaze. "I wouldn't have missed it." The silence hung between them, thick and suffocating. James could feel the tension coiling tighter. This was a pivotal moment, possibly the most important conversation they'd ever had. "I've been thinking," he started, nervously rubbing the back of his neck, "about the shop, how it could be something more." She finally looked at him, her expression shifting from guarded to intrigued. "More how?" I want to turn the garage into a community workshop. A space where kids can learn mechanics, safe skills. A way to connect instead of compete." James blurted out, his heart pounding, fear creeping in. "It's not about superiority, Emily. It's about giving back." The corner of her mouth twitched in a ghost of a smile. "That sounds nice." He leaned in, encouraged by her response. "I remember what we used to dream about. Teaching, sharing, and after everything that's happened, I think it's time we do something that matters." Emily's expression shifted, a mixture of surprise and conflict swimming across her features. "And how does this fit with what Dad gave me?" James exhaled sharply, feeling the knife twist further. "I think that's exactly the point. The gift isn't just your opportunity. Can be more. Can open doors for all of us, for the kids." She stepped back, crossing her arms. "Why should I believe that? I feel like I'm being pulled in two different directions, James." "We can figure it out together," he urged, a note of desperation creeping into his voice. "Think about the kids. Our kids. They deserve to see more than competition. They should see community, love, home." A crack appeared in Emily's armor, her eyes shimmering with vulnerability. "Do you really think we can do this?" "I want to try. I want to build something we can all be proud of." His heart raced. This was his chance. Her mouth opened as if she were about to speak, But suddenly, the door swung open with force, startling both of them. Sam, their oldest son, burst through, his expression animated. "Dad! Mom! You won't believe what happened." James turned, relief fleeting as he absorbed the shift in energy. "What is it, buddy?" "There's gonna be a fishing tournament at the lake," Sam exclaimed, pumping his fists in excitement. "I want to join." Emily exchanged a glance with James, uncertainty flooding back in. The moment they had just started to forge felt threatened by the new flood of chaos. "I can help you prepare," James said, adrenaline propelling him. "We could make it a family thing, get everyone involved." But Emily hesitated, her earlier resolve dimming. "Sam, we'll talk about it later, okay?" James felt the walls closing in again. "This could be our chance, Em. A chance to bring the family back together." "What about your workshop?" She shot back, tension rising again as father and son exchanged hopeful glances. The shadows of their unresolved past loomed larger. Would this new opportunity fade away like so many before? "Let us not fight." "Not again," James whispered, desperation tinged with hope. "Can we meet later? Just us?" The challenge hung in the air, a tightrope suspended between fear and hope. Emily looked back at him, visibly battling the emotions swirling in her heart. Could they really start to build something from the wreckage? He held his breath, hoping for a breakthrough, praying that their family could finally find a way back to each other, even if it seemed impossible. But as Emily opened her mouth to answer, the challenge of a decision loomed over them both. What would the future hold when the past still held its grip? Would they choose to move forward together or remain haunted by their fractured history? Emily's eyes danced with 1,000 questions, her voice barely above a whisper. "What are we supposed to do, James? We can't just pretend everything is okay. There's so much that's gone wrong." James felt the familiar tightening in his chest, but he knew this wasn't the time for retreat. I know it's hard, but we can't stay frozen in this moment forever." Before she could respond, Sam, still bubbling with the excitement of the fishing tournament, pulled at Emily's sleeve. "Can we go? Can we go now? I want to catch a big one." His innocence was a stark contrast to the weight of their hidden battles. Emily cast a quick glance back at Sam, whose eyes sparkled with hope. That glimmer was the same one she had seen in James when they first started dating, long before their lives got tangled in complexity. "Sam, listen," Emily said, kneeling to meet her son's gaze. "We can talk about the tournament now, but I need a moment with your father, okay?" "Okay," Sam replied, letting his excitement move him toward the rows of fishing gear lining the walls of the shop. The moment Sam bounded away, James turned to Emily. "We can take this step by step. It doesn't have to mean everything will change overnight. But what if it doesn't work? What if we fail again?" The edge of Emily's voice cut through the air, revealing her deep-set fears. James reached out and grasped her hand, feeling the tension thrumming beneath her skin. "Emily, we've already faced so much. Look at how far we've come. How hard we've fought to stay together. This can just be another part of our journey." She looked down at their intertwined hands, searching for something. "You're saying this workshop can be a turning point for us? Can be the foundation? A way to thrive instead of just survive?" He took a breath, steadying himself. "Just think about how alive the community could feel, how we might reconnect with the kids. With each other." Emily's gaze flickered with uncertainty but softened just enough. "And the tournament? We can build on the excitement they feel. Make memories, not just catch fish. Moments together. Make it about family." She paused, chewing on the thought, before her resolve wavered. "I want to believe this can work. But what if?" His heart seized again at the fear in her expression. "What if what? You need to say it. What if we're just dragging the past into the present? What if we're not ready for this?" A longer silence stretched as James mulled it over. "What if we embrace the past instead? Learn from it, create something beautiful out of the wreckage? We have to trust that we can find our way." James watched as the light shifted within her eyes. She was ready to do the hard work, but he sensed she needed a sign. "What if you let me pick you up for dinner tomorrow? Just the two of us. We can dream together, plan." Her mouth curved slightly, the first trace of a smile breaking through. "Dinner, huh? You know I can cook better than you." "I guess we'll find out," he said, returning her smile with an ease that made the gravity of the past feel lighter for a moment. The tension wasn't gone, but the sparks of hope flared brighter. Their battle may not have ended, but for once they were side by side, not opposing each other. "Okay," she whispered, a flicker of determination igniting. Just then Sam popped back into view, eyes wide with curiosity and delight. "Can we practice fishing now? I want to challenge you, Dad." "Let us do it," James encouraged, ready to seize the moment. Watching Sam rush to grab gear, he felt a rush of gratitude for the possibility of reclamation. Emily leaned closer, her voice low. "It's a start, James. Just a start." He nodded, eyes locked on their son's enthusiasm. "That's all we need right now." As they prepared for the tournament, James couldn't shake the feeling that this was a turning point. Yet, as excitement filled the shop, a part of him lingered on what still lay ahead, the unspoken words and fears yet to face. What would happen when the dust settled and reality knocked? Would this newfound sense of family be strong enough to hold them together, or was it a fragile illusion teetering on the brink? As the thought settled in his mind, he felt the familiar weight returning, but there was something more, a flicker of light pushing through. For the first time in a long time, he believed in the possibility of something different, a future built on trust, community, and family. Tomorrow difficult choices awaited, and who knew how much their hearts could withstand. But for now they would fish. For now they would try. Sam darted out of the shop, his little legs a blur of excitement as he raced toward the lake, already envisioning the thrill of the catch. The momentary weight of Emily and James's conversation faded like mist in the morning sun, replaced by the innocent laughter of their son, which echoed softly through the air. "Come on, Dad," Sam shouted, his voice full of life. "You're going to lose if you don't hurry." James exchanged a glance with Emily, a smile breaking through the remnants of their earlier tension. She seemed lighter, as if the sunlight was tugging at her worries, coaxing them away. "You ready?" he asked, pulling a fishing rod from the rack. "Always," she replied, a bite of enthusiasm in her tone that made James's heart flutter. They followed Sam to the grassy shore where the water lapped gently at the banks, the shimmer of sunlight dancing on the surface with every cast of the line. Sam cheered and jumped, momentarily lost in a world where nothing could go wrong. For those precious moments, the heavy past began to drift away, and James found himself breathing easier. He hoped the tranquility would linger a bit longer. "Look, there's one," Sam shouted, pointing at the rippling water. Emily laughed, her joy contagious, and James couldn't help but join in. "All right, let us see if you can reel it in," he said, positioning himself behind Sam, his hands ready to assist. As the fish tugged on the line, Sam fought valiantly, his little face scrunching up in concentration. "It's so heavy," he exclaimed. The determination in his eyes mirrored both his parents when they faced challenges, and it filled James with pride. "Keep going. You got this," Emily encouraged, clapping her hands. Finally, with an explosive burst, Sam reeled in his first fish, a small catch, but his victory was monumental. "I did it. I really did it." His laughter rang out, and James lifted him up, spinning him around. It was in this moment that James felt a shift in the air, as if the universe was subtly affirming their struggle. Each cheer and giggle felt like a promise of hope extending beyond this lake, reaching into their futures. Later, seated on the picnic blanket they had brought, the family enjoyed the simple pleasure of homemade sandwiches and chips. The sun began to dip, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink, and the warmth of the day hung around them like an embrace. "Do you think we can do this again?" Sam asked between bites, eyes wide with enthusiasm. "Absolutely," Emily answered, her smile radiant against the backdrop of sunset. James glanced at his wife, their hands brushing against each other across the blanket. "And we'll have plenty of family moments to cherish," he said, his voice steady, laced with determination. But as the sun sank further, the shadows deepened, and with them reality crept back into view. Would their fragile peace last beyond this day? A sense of urgency began to swell in James as he remembered the workshop and the losses they still carried. The thrill of today could only mask so much. Just then, Sam spotted another fish jumping in the distance, his little voice bright with hope. "Dad! Look! Let us catch it." That spark ignited something inside James. "I'll show you how to catch that one. We're going to have to work together," he replied, rising with renewed vigor. But as they positioned themselves for another cast, James felt an odd knot twisting in his stomach. What were they really up against? Was one good day enough to make up for the mountains of doubt? As Emily watched Sam, her eyes drifting back to James, he couldn't shake that flutter of anxiety. What would they discover when the laughter faded and the sun ultimately set? James knew that the path ahead was treacherous, and that despite today's glimmers, tomorrow would bring old fears crashing back once more, waiting for resolution. But what if today was just the beginning, and the real challenge lay in finding the courage to face the truths waiting beneath the surface? James steadied himself as he cast the line again, feeling the weight of the fishing rod and the tension in the air. His heart raced, not just from excitement, but from battling the tangle of his thoughts. Would they ever escape the turmoil of their daily lives? Or was this simply an illusion, a momentary bubble before the real world came crashing back? Sam squealed as his rod dipped under the surface, anticipation bubbling in his voice. "I think I got another one." His laughter filled the space between them, chasing away the dark thoughts that clung to James like shadows. "All right, buddy. Remember what we practiced," James said, sliding down to kneel beside Sam, his hand steady on the boy's shoulder. Just then Emily joined in, squatting on the other side with a bright smile, her eyes lighting up the dimming day. "You can do it. Just pull it in gently," she exclaimed, her encouragement wrapped in warmth. Watching her, James felt a rush of pride for the way she always knew how to uplift their son. Together they guided Sam through the motions, each tug on the rod igniting more shouts of excitement. Finally, with a triumphant yank, Sam pulled a wriggling fish onto the shore. "I caught another one." He bounced on his toes, eyes wide in disbelief. James felt a surge of happiness wash over him, momentarily sweeping away the concerns that nagged at him. "That's amazing. You're the best fisherman." As Sam danced around with his prize, James exchanged a proud look with Emily. But beneath the surface of that joy, a question lingered. Would this happiness be sustainable? Could they truly build on moments like this, or were they just fleeting? Once they settled back down to the blanket, a slight chill in the evening air snuck in. Sam picked at the last of the sandwiches, and Emily sifted through the picnic basket for their dessert. "Here," she said, pulling out the cookies they had made together. "Susan's special chocolate chip." Sam's eyes lit up, and for a moment James felt the weight of the world lift. They shared laughter as crumbs fell onto the blanket, each smile knitting them a little closer together. But just as the sky turned dark, and the colors faded into deep blues and purples, the flicker of doubt returned. What if we face some storm tomorrow? James mused aloud, lost in thought. You know, when we go back to real life. Emily looked at him, her expression softening. "We can't control what tomorrow brings," she replied, her voice steady. "But we can decide how to face it." Her words settled around them like a comforting blanket. Yet uncertainty lingered in James's heart. He wanted to be brave, to shield his family from the storms that seemed inevitable. But how could he do that when he still carried the weight of his father's expectations? "Mom, can we fish tomorrow too?" Sam broke through the tension, gazing at them with wide, hopeful eyes. "Of course. As long as you promise to help clean the house first," Emily joked, causing Sam to groan dramatically. James chuckled, but the knot in his stomach tightened. They would fish, but it was inevitable that chores and responsibilities lay ahead. What kind of family life could they have when cracks under the surface were ready to scream? As they finished their cookies, the moon climbed above, casting a silvery glow on the lake's surface. For a fleeting moment, nothing mattered but the small family huddled together. But James felt the pulse of reality waiting to creep back in. What would they discover about themselves when the sun rose again? Just then Sam let out a sudden gasp. "Look at that!" he shouted, pointing at the shadowy figure on the shore. James and Emily turned to see a large owl perched on a nearby tree, watching them intently. In that shared moment of awe, James realized they were all grappling with something more significant than days filled with laughter. There were deeper truths that needed to be uncovered, under the surface and in the heart of their family. How long could they keep pretending everything was fine when secrets still lurked? And would seeing that owl become a turning point in uncovering what lay beneath their fragile happiness? As the day's warmth faded, the owl remained still, its eyes reflecting the moonlight with an almost knowing sadness. James couldn't shake the feeling that this creature symbolized something deeper, a sentinel of the stories they buried beneath smiles and laughter. "Wow, Look at its big eyes, Sam whispered. A childish wonder wrapped around his words. But James perceived more than awe in his son's voice. There was a yearning, an implicit wish to understand the unknown. Emily leaned closer, nudging James gently. Maybe it's a sign, she said quietly, barely above a whisper. Her breath danced through the stillness, and James felt the shiver of her words settle deep within him. Could the owl truly mean something? Could they gain wisdom from it? He blinked, shaking himself from the reverie. Yeah, a sign that we should be heading home before we scare it away, he replied, trying to inject a lightness back into the night. But the knot in his stomach remained, a reminder that their serene bubble had not yet burst. Sam, oblivious to James's turmoil, continued to gaze at the owl. Can I take it home? He asked eagerly. Well, we can't exactly keep an owl as a pet, buddy, Emily said with a chuckle ruffling Sam's hair. Yet James could see the flicker of disappointment in Sam's eyes. The boy was searching for magic to hold on to, a connection that would keep the darkness at bay. As they slowly collected their belongings, James felt the weight of unspoken words settle between him and Emily. The unaddressed fears, the patterns of behavior passed down through generations, all coiled tightly like a fishing line waiting to snap. Do you think we really can face tomorrow? He asked suddenly, stopping mid-pull of the packed picnic blanket. Emily looked at him, her eyes steady. I know we can. We're a team, remember? Whatever comes, we face it together. He exhaled slowly. Her words had the power to comfort. But the shadows of his father loomed, always reminding him of what his family was supposed to be, and he couldn't help but wonder if what they had was enough. As they walked toward the car, the air flipped, rustling the nearby leaves, sending them swirling like whispers of uncertainty. Sam walked ahead, swinging his fishing pole as if it were a sword of hope. The small victories felt fragile in the face of looming challenges. What do you think Dad got us for dinner? Sam called back, desperate for the evening's joy to spill over into the next day. I'm sure it'll be the best, Emily replied, and James nodded, feeling the warmth of her conviction but still haunted by the prospect of tomorrow. Just as they reached the car, a distant rumble of thunder echoed through the night. James shot a quick glance at Emily, who met his eyes with a frown, her expression mirroring his concern. Looks like a storm is brewing, he murmured half to himself. Emily placed a hand on his arm, grounding him. Where we go tomorrow matters less than how we go. Let's promise to keep our hearts open, no matter what storms come our way, she urged. He wanted to believe her. He really did. As they settled into the car, the engine starting with a soft hum, James took one last glance at the lake, now cloaked in shadows. The owl had vanished, leaving behind nothing but a whisper of its presence, but the darkness felt heavier now, carrying the weight of the questions left unanswered. What would the morning bring? Would it illuminate the depths of their turmoil or drown them further? Before he could get lost in the unknown again, a small voice pierced through the silence. Can we still fish tomorrow? James smiled, turning to Sam. Absolutely. We're going to have the best time. But as they drove away, doubts lurked in his heart. What did fishing tomorrow really mean when their lives felt so uncertain? Tomorrow offered a chance for truth, but was he ready to face it? The tension hung in the air, thick like the approaching storm, leaving one question burning through the night. What secrets would they uncover when dawn broke and the fishing lines were cast once more? The sound of the rain started softly, like whispers on the windshield. As they drove back home, it picked up, hammering against the glass like an anxious heartbeat. James could feel each drop echoing the knot in his stomach. Dad, look. Sam pointed out the window, his excitement infectious despite the weight pressing on James's mind. Outside, the first flashes of lightning illuminated the sky, followed by cracks of thunder that rattled the car. The boy was captivated, thrumming with energy. Yeah, buddy, it's beautiful, James replied, trying to match Sam's enthusiasm as he gripped the steering wheel tighter. His heart raced, but he didn't know if it was from the storm or from the worry that loomed close behind, ready to unravel the family ties he fought so hard to hold. Emily broke the tense silence. Remember what I said earlier? It's our perspective that shapes how we feel about a storm, she said, her voice gentle yet firm. Let us try to see this as an adventure. James nodded, appreciating her optimism. Yet a part of him grappled with the feeling that adventures shouldn't come with such high stakes. Sam's chatter filled the space, his innocent joy a stark contrast to the swirling uncertainty inside James. When they finally pulled into their driveway, the house loomed ahead, its familiar outline obscured by sheets of rain. James could see the flickering lights from the kitchen, glowing warmly in the dark. It felt like a haven, yet the weight of their situation pressed against him like the storm tightening around them. "Who is hungry?" Emily asked, stepping out of the car, shielding Sam with her body as he hurried to grab his things. James followed, the rain slicking his hair against his forehead. Inside, the smell of something delicious wafted through the air, a comfort amid the chaos. Emily knelt to help Sam take off his muddy shoes. "Why don't you wash up while I set the table?" she suggested, turning to James, her hazel eyes sparkling despite the darkness outside. "Sure, I can help," he mumbled, peeling off his damp jacket. It hung like a burden. He wanted to share a moment with her, to express the tumult inside him, but the kitchen was filled with steam and the sound of rushing water. Instead, he busied himself with setting plates, feeling the familiar solace of home. "Dad, can I tell you how many fish I'll catch tomorrow?" Sam called from the bathroom, his enthusiasm overpowering the storm. "No need to spoil the surprise, champ," James chuckled, glancing at Emily. But her smile faltered briefly before she looked away. With dinner served, they squeezed around the table, Sam regaling them with stories of fishing legends. Yet as much as James wanted to lose himself in the moment, he felt a prickle of anxiety gnawing at him. The questions lingered, a constant whisper in the back of his mind. "How are we really doing?" he asked suddenly, breaking the cheerful banter. Emily paused, her fork hovering midair. "What do you mean?" "I mean, some things feel like they're slipping, right? He sighed, uncertain how to phrase what weighed on him. Sam, sensing the shift, fell silent, his eyes flicking between his parents. "James," Emily began slowly, "we've always been upfront with each other. If something is bothering you, let us talk." He opened his mouth, then closed it. The moment hung thick with unspoken fears. Would revealing his struggles shatter the fragile peace they found? But the storm outside had grown fiercer, rattling the windows, and James realized the truth could no longer remain buried. Tomorrow might be more than just fishing, he ventured cautiously, the words slipping out before he could hold them back. "What if we find something out about our family? Something we can't ignore?" The room went quiet. Emily's grip on her fork tightened, and Sam watched, his young face a portrait of confusion. "What do you mean, Dad?" Sam asked, eyes wide. James could only brace himself for the impact of the answers to come. As thunder roared outside, James wondered, would the storm reveal secrets he wasn't ready to face? And as the rain drummed against the roof, he felt a knot unravel inside him. Tomorrow held more than just fishing. It was poised to unearth the very fabric of their family story. James stared at his plate, a sudden heaviness pressing down on him. The vibrant meal Emily prepared seemed dull under the weight of the truth he was hinting at. He had never been one for secrets. Yet now he felt like a diver straddling the line between the surface and the abyss, unsure which way to go. Sam's innocent curiosity pierced the silence. "Are we going to find treasure, Dad?" His eyes sparkled with excitement, unaware that his father's heart thundered for an entirely different reason. "Sort of, champ," James said, forcing a smile. "Just not the kind you'd expect." Emily's gaze locked onto his, reading the fear behind the facade. "What kind of treasure are we talking about?" she asked gently, though her voice trembled slightly. As if sensing the storm brewing beyond their kitchen, James took a deep breath. "Family stories. Our history. Things we've hidden from ourselves, maybe." He paused, unsure how to reveal the unraveling threads without causing too much strain. "I think we might find out something important about why we are the way we are." Emily lowered her fork, her brow furrowing. "What do you think we'll find?" "It's more about who we are and the choices we've made," he replied, feeling the knot tighten again. The rain picked up outside, hammering harder against the roof, and in the shadows of their cozy home, he could almost hear the echoes of secrets struggling to break free. As if sensing the tension in the air, Sam shifted in his seat. "Can I come fishing too?" he asked, trying to lighten the mood. "I'll catch a fish with a golden scale, and then we'll sell it for $1 million. Then we can fix the house." James chuckled, grateful for Sam's remarkable spirit, but the laughter felt hollow. It wouldn't take a magical fish to fix things, But I appreciate the thought, buddy. And then suddenly the laughter caught in his throat. Emily broke the constrained silence. James, I think we're ready to hear what you aren't saying. We're a family. If something is troubling you, we face it together. Her voice softened, sincere yet charged with the weight of unspoken concerns. A deep sigh escaped him. He had spent too long wielding the burden of family secrets, and now it felt too heavy to carry alone. I found something recently, he admitted. It's about your father, Sam. Recalling the fragile papers he had tucked away, he felt a flicker of dread. What did you find? Emily's voice was steady, but he could see a flicker of anxiety in her hazel eyes. Swallowing hard, he continued, it's about decisions he made, things that have shaped us. There's a connection to us, to that money, $950,000 given to someone else in our family, someone we don't talk about. No one moved for a moment. The world outside the window felt so distant, the storm a mere backdrop to everything they couldn't face. Sam looked back and forth between his parents, confusion morphing into concern. Is it Aunt Kelly? Sam finally said, shooting a glance at his dad. She always seems kind of strange. Tension wrapped around James's chest like a vine, squeezing tighter. Could be connected to her, yes. But there's more. There are stories I can't ignore anymore. And we need to find out why they were hidden. Emily leaned in closer. And what do we do when we find out? Honestly? His heart raced with every word. I don't know. But we owe it to ourselves to uncover the truth. We can't let it fester anymore. Lightning flashed outside, momentarily illuminating the kitchen, and in that instant, it was as if the storm had mirrored the turmoil bubbling beneath the surface of their lives. Sam squirmed slightly. Can we just have a normal fishing trip? James smiled, even amidst the storm brewing inside him. That's the goal, but first we have to face the storm within us. The doors between uncertainty and revelation were swinging wide open, and he knew there was no closing them now. Would they emerge from the storm stronger? Or would the truths they uncovered shatter everything they had built? As they finished dinner, the air around them buzzed with possibilities, and James felt a knot of hope forming in the tumult. Would tomorrow lead them deeper into family history, or risk the fabric of their unity? The sun rose softly behind dark clouds, a hint of gold breaking through. But the air was heavy with anticipation. James awoke feeling raw, his heart drums echoing against the walls of his chest like the thunder rumbling from afar. Today was the day they would confront the shadows of the past, and uncover the family secrets that lurked like standing water, stagnant and murky. As he slipped into his work boots, James felt the weight of second chances settle on his shoulders. The day stretched ahead filled with the promise of a brighter future, but it also bore the burden of truths that were more powerful than any storm. Emily joined him in the kitchen, her hair tousled and eyes bright with determination, a stark contrast to the anxiety swirling in James's stomach. Ready? She asked softly, her voice both daring and tender. Yeah, James said, forcing a confident smile, though he was acutely aware of the gravity of what lay ahead. They shared breakfast in a comfortable silence, the sound of Sam racing around the house, matching the electric tension in the air. Sam finally bounded in, his excitement snapping like the last delicate thread before a big reveal. Can we catch the biggest fish today, Dad? He shouted, waving a toy fishing rod with fervor. Absolutely, James exclaimed, gathering strength from his son's spirit. But first we have something important to discuss. As they drove to the lake, James's mind buzzed with questions, uncertainty jostling alongside determination. Would uncovering the truth heal them? Or would old wounds bleed anew? Arriving at the lake, the skies momentarily cleared, casting shimmering reflections on the water that sparkled like potential. He parked and turned to Emily, whose gaze mirrored his trepidation, the lingering question hanging between them like mist over the water's surface. Let us do this, she said firmly, her hand reaching for his as they stepped into the unknown together. They made their way to the shore, sharing stories with Sam, building up laughter like a curtain against the weight of today's revelation. With every cast of the line, the excitement bubbled over, but each splash of water reminded James of the storms that awaited. As the sun traveled slowly across the sky, reality crept back in layers, the laughter drifting away into silence. It was time. Sam, why don't you try fishing off that dock? James suggested, motioning toward a nearby spot where the current swirled gently. Sam nodded, glancing back with wide eyes, eager to catch more fish. Okay. He cheered and dashed away, leaving just James and Emily on the shore, their hearts beating steadily louder. Taking a breath, James turned to Emily, searching her determined eyes. I found some papers, things about the money and choices made. I can't keep it to myself anymore. Let us face it together, she replied, her voice resolute. Whatever is hidden, we will shine a light on it. With each word, resolution built up like a dam against the tide. Then James shared everything, the names, the decisions, the reasons behind their father's actions, and why it felt like a betrayal layered within loyalty. Tears glistened in Emily's eyes. I can't believe this was kept from us all this time. This changes everything, she said softly. I know. But it can also change us for the better, James replied, his heart racing. The money doesn't define who we are. And it's our time to redefine family, to build together. In that moment, beneath the bright sky against the backdrop of hidden struggles, something profound shifted. Emily wiped away a tear, determination overshadowing sadness. You're right. It's time to face the truth and open those doors. Let us share the stories and build that workshop. Will make it a safe space for our family, and for everyone who needs a place to belong. Their hopes intertwined tightly like the fishing lines in the clear water, pulling them closer than ever. Just then Sam returned, plopped down beside them, clutching a wriggly fish. Look what I caught. His joy radiated, breaking the momentary tension like sunlight through clouds. Great job, buddy. James praised, and Emily enthusiastically added, can I hold it? As the child placed it in her palm, laughter bubbled up, filling the air again as they shared high fives and excitement over the catch. But beneath it, the water rippled with deeper truths, calling them to face what existed just below the surface. Sam, we're planning something special with this day, James said gently, and you'll help us catch more than just fish. We're going to catch those dreams and make them real. Emily squeezed James's hand, and his heart swelled with hope. Together, they had the power to transform their fears into a narrative of resilience. As shadows elongated and the sun dipped lower, the lake glittered, illuminating their newfound connection. They could face everything as long as they shared it all, joys, struggles, and most importantly, love. The storm of yesterday dissipated, replaced by the promise of beginnings anew. In that moment they knew they would rise together through laughter, through tears, into a future filled with the memories they created as a family, one fishing trip at a time. And with that, a profound realization washed over James. Life was an unfolding journey, one where each day was a chance to connect, to explore, and ultimately to heal. As they ventured into the depths of the lake once more, James felt firmly anchored at last. Don't wait, not even one more second. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss our exclusive stories that will inspire and transform your life. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support for content that really matters. Comment your thoughts and feelings about this amazing conclusion. What resonated with you? Share this story instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let them feel the hope and love from this journey. This is the moment to show your support.